Irfan, were you with us last semester? Where did you study, bud?
Hi, Doc. I completed Mali last year at the Varsity College Durban North.
Okay, and what happened between then and now? So you would have done Mali with Catherine. No, not with Catherine. You would have done Mali with Sally.
Yes, Sally. Yes, I did.
Sally.
Sally Fisher.
Yeah, no, Sal and I, we've been friends for a very long time. And then took a break. And did you do
Yeah,
your research last year?
I did. So I didn't complete the research module. I stopped at the research proposal stage.
Okay, because we've got to get you back onto research as well, or are you planning to leave that for next year?
I'm leaving research for next year.
Okay, that's no problem whatsoever. So what have you got in your in the bag? IBMA and MALE?
Just Mali.
Just Mali.
Yeah,
Okay, but we've got a lot to do next year then. And are you
yeah.
doing both SASSR and COMI this year?
Yes, I am.
Okay, there's no problem with that. You'll get used to our style, Boyo. You'll get used to the way we do things. We do pretty well in this class. We do, no, we don't do pretty well. We do incredibly well in this class. Okay, welcome, Irfan.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so guys, to go to innovation again, and we started talking about this last year. Who in their organization has innovation as a KPI? Who in their organization has a specific KPI that relates to innovation? Neil, what does that KPI particularly entail?
So Doc, mine's is two parts. So I used to have innovation as part of my KPI as a brand manager.
Okay.
Now that I'm in strategy, I've got to kind of create the business case for the brand people now to launch and develop innovation. So before it was one-minded with a brand. Now
Yeah.
I'm multi-brand, multi-category, multi-channel. So it's about understanding what the capabilities are of our plant, what the opportunities are in the market, and trying to find a cohesion between the two.
And do you guys use balanced scorecard to cascade throughout the organization?
Yes.
Because this is a learning and growth kind of KPI.
Yes, Henny, we do.
Oh, but that's impressive. Anyone else? Very cool, Neil. Very, very cool. Anyone else have innovation as a specific KPI? And it'll make us in a sense in a second why I'm asking this question. It's strange, guys, because we've got a range of people that work for a range of organizations that are pretty classy organizations, and no specific attention being paid to learning and growth, in particular innovation. And we know now that the rule when it comes to innovation is innovate or evaporate. Why is that one of the key rules within the context of world-class organizations? And remember, in particular, American organizations, the idea of innovating or you evaporate. Remember, the rule is innovate or evaporate. It would be a very interesting suggestion, guys, if you take that forward as an improvement suggestion, as an innovation, or we would have called them kaizens back in the day, to your own organization. So in terms of innovations, now it range, and I'm pretty sure we've done this and we'll go through this again. Yeah, improving products and services. I'm not going to go too much into that. I think we discussed this last week. The second way, changing the ways we create, and we know that people have moved away from labor intensive and are starting to use robots and robotics and agentic AI and a whole range of other things. And also the way we deliver. I think for me, one of the industries under significant stress at this stage is the delivery industry, the courier industry, with a clear focus that that there would be deliveries by drones, in my mind, way before 2030. I don't know if anyone has a comment on that. Drone deliveries being a reality, putting significant pressure on the courier industry. Or is that a bit pie in the sky for this country? Some of my students said that the stuff would get hijacked, but we weren't having the most positive day at Varsity College Maritzburg. It has to happen. I mean, the world is doing it. Amazon is here. Amazon is at the forefront of it. Guys, and then just also changing markets. And because of technology, we can change the markets. Oh my gosh, yes. If anyone, Nadia, you are so spot on. If anyone saw Makwanazi and, you know, talking about Nkunu last night on Carte Blanche, it is deeply concerning that that is a reality for it. Neil's already getting his KPIs for this course together. Okay, and then also changing the underlying models. Oh, Lord, guys, you know, whenever you sit in a course and you look at your group of students and you say to yourself, which of these students are going to go to prison first? I wouldn't have bet on Nadia. Neil, I was a little bit suspicious about, but definitely not Nadia. Oh, Neil, just remember all of this when you evaluate me, boy. Suggesting I'm a criminal. See, and it's because I laugh at my own jokes. I laugh at my own jokes, and then this is what happens. Okay, guys, and then just those underlying models. We spoke about the paradigms and how paradigms have shifted in medical innovations. The paradigm in terms of medical health has shifted from aging being a process that you slow down to aging being a disease that you cure. So the moment you shift that paradigm, and we're now at aging being a disease that you cure, it changes the entire approach to everything you do in that industry, including 3D printing body parts. So those underlying models are essential in actually guiding the overall thought processes that happen in terms of the first three there. Any industries where we need to question the underlying principles? Obviously, the courier industry. Other industries where we need to question the underlying paradigms, underlying principles. As I think every industry is almost affected by that. You guys are incredibly quiet tonight, so I'm getting deeply concerned that something is wrong. So let's look at putting the tobacco industry. Yeah, guys, can I ask a question about the tobacco industry? Because I put the assignment together on BAT. Nadia, yeah, oh, the taxi industry, without a shadow of a doubt, Neil. Yeah, yeah, no, I've seen that. I mean, in Jen, in this, you must see the number of robots that are used in the storage rooms, storage areas, warehouses for Amazon. I mean, they're just robots everywhere. That is, yeah, that is our future. I mean, I mean, AI has become so scary on a phone that people take their AIs that they create on dates, and how long before the AI is incorporated into a humanoid. I did see that. Yes, I did. Neil, thank you for that. I think that's the one you shared with me. Nadia, go for it.
I just remembered in my own line of work, because I basically do cold calling, but it's business to business selling. Thank God, it's not like selling insurance or medical aid to someone. But someone once showed a video that I think with the new iPhone update, it shows, I don't know if it's Siri, that is going to be able to start screening your calls for you, which is obviously a huge threat for us all humble cold callers, because then it means we won't be able to reach that person ever, because Siri's just going to keep screening our calls and blocking us. And I know cold calling's annoying, I know, but some of us get paid to do it.
I absolutely know, and I'm one of the horrible ones. I use Truecaller, and honestly, I block everyone that comes through as spam. I'm really bad for people doing cold calling, and when I go to hell, there will be people with telephones stabbing me with things. Go for it, Nadia.
So with Truecaller, I discovered there isn't a lot of countries who use it, because I call a lot of executives from different countries, because when I started at my new job, they said, oh no, we already signed on with everybody in South Africa. So we call the UK, the US. I think in the US it could become a problem because everybody there uses iPhones. But I've
Yeah.
seen Brazil is big on screening my calls on Truecaller, because one of the salespeople told me to call them through my South African number instead of like a UK number.
Okay.
And I've seen oftentimes in the afternoon when I start to call Brazil, I'll start to get notification on my phone from a Brazilian number screening my own number through Truecaller.
You're going to get human trafficked, woman. Some Brazilian oak selling you on the open market. Okay, guys, so yeah, no, well, the chat GPT is quite interesting, Jen. I mean, we've had more people now being disbarred because of using chat GPT to prepare for cases. And remember, chat GPT has no logic built into it. There will be logic down the line. It is simply a large language model, and it simply knows what the logical next word is in a sequence of words. So they can draw ChatGPT. Let me try that again. ChatGPT can draw information from fiction and non-fiction. It's a problem when they start drawing it from fiction and they use fictional cases and as part of the prep. Neil, let me tell you something. I'll know it's hell because you'll be there with me, bud. Oh my word, I'm being recorded again. I don't know, somebody from Varsity College will listen to this. Okay, guys, let's look at putting those two onto continuum. So here, the incremental, the Kaizen type improvements. And just remember, Kaizen, small ongoing improvements. We've discussed that previously, I'm sure. You know, it's a term that's been around and started in the auto industry in Japan, Kaizens. And then obviously these would be evolutionary and these would be revolutionary. These rattle some cages. But this tends to happen within an organization, within a particular product. When we look at system level changes, this is where the kind of stuff that we see in mega trends happen. So when we think of those mega trend changes, and you can see the stuff there in terms of the textbook. Now, the textbook is slightly dated, where it's a system level change, getting rid of normal phones, landlines, introducing smartphones and smart devices, and I mean the information, and that was radical. I think my favorite story about the move away, and it just needs to be verified in the background that I've got the right to companies, was the CEO of Motorola phoning the CEO of AT&T and saying to him, "I'm phoning you on a device that's not connected through wires. I'm phoning you through a mobile device." If we could add in terms of that kind of system level change post the textbook, what would we put in there? Other system level changes that have happened? Can I just say, go Nadia?
I'm not sure if it's system level. I think it's actually more component now that I think of it. But I just remember how big and chunky the first Mac computers used to be. And in that time, they used to market it as being very thin for its time. But now when you look back at it, it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, now everything's gone on diet. Everything's gone on diet. So yeah, that would be at a component level. I think for me, and I was going to ask, and then I got sidetracked because I've got ADD and I can't concentrate. The comment about the BAT, the case study that I gave for the first assignment. Can I just say, guys, I had some serious cognitive dissonance in doing that and using that particular case study because I'm a complete non-smoker, never smoker, and I'm an anti-smoker. So doing that, just the cognitive dissonance was insane. Any comments on that as a case study? Anyone else feel that this is a little bit dodge what I've done there? Because I feel it's dodge. Or do we have lifelong smokers here?
I don't smoke, only because I get chest pains every time when I have to tap my mom's card for her cigarettes and see how expensive it is. But I think but I still think it's an interesting study because, the tobacco industry is still flipping huge, despite all the health warnings and the studies showing it's bad for your health. It's still quite a big industry.
Yeah, one of the favorite jokes is a guy buys cigarettes and has got all those health warnings, and he says, "Can I have the health warning? It's dangerous for a pregnant woman because I'm not pregnant." We must actually look at the assignment together, so we will spend a bit of time on that next week, looking at the assignment and seeing where the answers are and what to approach. Go for it, Neil.
Doc, and this might be not relevant really, but seeing as though we're talking about the dangers of cigarettes, correct me if I'm wrong, but like 1960s, 1950s, pre-sugar being the bad kid on the block, weren't there some articles that were published saying how smoking is actually good for you?
Yeah,
I
no,
know
they
it's
were
completely been
for.
okay.
They had doctors advertising cigarettes, and they'd have my brand of choice is Chesterfield. So they didn't see that. And my gran died of a smoking related illness, and she would have started smoking in the 30s and 40s. I'm a real issue, but Kesh, you know how it is so difficult, and I wanted to put a bit of a rider there saying, "Listen, this is a non-smoker," and I can't remember whether I put it in. Yeah, and the vape tax. Yeah, well, guys, government needs money. That's all I can tell you. And vape is now becoming the new sin tax. So anything that is considered a sin. You can steal, that's fine. That's not sin. And you can become a tenderpreneur and be dodgy as hell. That's not sin, and you won't be taxed on that. But don't smoke, drink, or vape. Yeah, I saw that, Jen. I saw that. Go for it, James.
So a way you can get around the syntax thing that the government needs money and whatever is if they just legalized marijuana and tax that, they would have more money than they knew what to do with.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of those. I mean, legalize prostitution, bring prostitution. There's several of those things, and start taxing the taxi industry properly. If you want to see people, oh my word, Jen, that is insane. But I mean, if you think of the money that gets hidden in the taxi industry, I mean, there's so much tax that is unclaimed out there, but the sin taxes get nailed every time. Also, driving in South Africa is a sin because they tax our petrol like crazy. Go, Mveshan.
Doc, on that mention of syntax and cigarettes and yes, anti-smoking and whatnot, but what does the medicine industry have to say about what they do? I mean, all your medication that you take prescribed from the doctors and the medical field as well. It's designed for you to be hooked on. I mean, I had a lot of people at my workplace that was falling in the diabetes category, quite a bit of them. Obviously, long hours, no lunch breaks, you're not eating on time, and 20 years of that, they can cause some serious damage to your body. So a lot of them went on this herbal rescue thing that they were doing with dietitians from the sharks. And a lot of them got around it without insulin and were never dependent on insulin. So, I mean, you can overcome it, but what do they do? Well, what do we normally do? We sell insulin and they become hooked on it, and it goes on for how many years?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Boyo. Absolutely. No, you're 100% right there. Very, very right, actually.
So you can, we can point to certain things and we can call it syntax, but the actual things that people are making, pharmaceutical industry is thumping. They are making billions, more money they can even think of spending. And who's watching that? Who's looking at that? There was another article that came out where a doctor pumped somebody up with 7 stents that they never even required. Now it's getting
did you guys see Carte Blanche last night? That was
that's the same one.
Yeah, dodgy as hell, Boyo. Dodgy
and he's getting away with it.
Well, people are getting away with it. I mean, that's insane. Jen, the vape juice that's gone from 130 to 310. Do you vape, Jen? And I'm not going to pick on you, I promise you. Jen, are you there? Are you there? That is a ridiculous increase. I mean, that's more than quadruple. No, tripled in price, more than tripled in price. You do. Oh, Jen wants you to be cool. And then if we add into that the Ozempic, I mean, the make you skinny drug, my goodness me, the Ozempic stuff is as bad. So vape is definitely up there as well. It was a system and it was definitely a significant change. AI definitely sits there, guys. And I mean, we're at the cusp of a revolution in AI, and it's going to be absolutely radical. And then we can see the sort of incremental, the transformational bits and pieces. And then this is where we render previous industries obsolete. Yeah. And Jen, how old were you when you started? For me, it's such a silly thing because being a non-smoker, it's quite strange to see a number of my young students doing this. It's a very strange sensation. Mind you, I say that my older 2 boys, the one smokes and the other one vapes. Yeah, there are better ways, Jen. I don't know. I don't want to say take lollipops because then you've got dentist stuff to consider. I don't know. There must be an alternative to that. Just do it. I don't know. Let me not even guess because I don't know enough about smoking. Okay, guys. So in terms of those, we've seen these kinds of changes. Oh my good. You are a silly Billy, Dawson. You are a silly Billy. Lollipops. Yeah, lollipops. But when the stress hits, it really hits. Hit a gym rather than a cigarette, man. Running helps, yeah. I mean, Jenna's getting picked on. Sorry, Jenna. Okay, guys, and then if we then look at where we are heading in terms of innovation, oh my word, this is now frozen on me. Okay, so when we look at that outcome there and essentially what it adds and innovation adds to an organization's value, I think the first thing is to remember the difference, and I did say this last week, between an idea and innovation is the idea is the creativity bit. The innovation is when that creativity is turned into a product or a service that ends up somewhere on a shelf, or somewhere in a customer's pocket, or somewhere on a customer's driveway. What is interesting is that the key difference between innovation and something being a gimmick is a fine line. Give me examples of things that when they were launched, you thought they were gimmicks rather than innovations. Can I be honest with you? I'm a lot older than, I think if I add all your ages together in class, you wouldn't make my age. But for me, when they put a camera in a bloody cell phone the first time, for me, that was a gimmick. That wasn't an innovation. And now I cannot live without my camera in my phone. And it's quite interesting. Fidget spinners is pure gimmick. That is pure gimmick. Other gimmicks that turned out to be innovations. I could not make sense of a camera in a phone, guys. It also just shows you how old I am. Other innovations that WhatsApp. Yeah, I mean, goodness me, I looked at WhatsApp and I stayed off it until I realized that this is the best thing ever, especially when I can leave voice notes that scare students. My favorite thing in the world. I started with color TV. So in 1976, when it got here, TV was color. It is not the beautiful colors we see. Yeah. I mean, internet on your phone. I mean, yeah. I mean, we can't live without these things. So I'm always amazed that when you see something and you think it's a gimmick and it turns out to be a bloody good innovation. I cannot live without my laptop. My laptop goes on holiday with me. Banking apps. I mean, I stayed away from a banking app for a long time because I didn't know how I would get cash in my pocket. It was the days where I thought you had to have cash to be able to pay for things. I mean, now I barely carry cash. So I think the key thing is digital cards. Absolutely. I mean, wonderful. I love my Woolworths digital card. YouTube. Again, a gimmick that's turned out to be a wonderful innovation. And the amount of learning that you can get from watching YouTube, guys, is disturbing. You could learn stuff on there. You can learn businesses. Oh yeah, no, the tap. My wife has taken her card tap off and she still inserts. Oh, TikTok for marketing. I mean, yeah, the idea of influencers. Insane. I mean, and the role of influencers in our lives. So, well, can I also just say, guys, I don't always understand influencers. That Jake Paul can be famous is beyond, and wealthy is beyond my little understanding of the world. Mike Tyson shouldn't have just held back. He should have smacked that Okafu against the head. Sorry, I'm having a moment now. Okay, so what is value? Trading apps, 100%, Niveshan. So value is something that we're prepared to pay for. Who loves and will pay more to have a decent camera in their phone than settle for an average phone? Who chooses their phone based on the camera? Where are the selfie wannabe influencer TikTok people? Oh, wonderful. You need to share that with us. We'll turn them into NFTs, Nadia. Yeah, well, we could organize, yeah, go for it, Neil. We can organize NFTs.
Doc, so with phones, they've gone beyond just using phones for selfies. There's a movie on circuit at the moment called 28 Years Later, which was
Okay.
entirely shot on an iPhone. They didn't use traditional cameras. Every single frame, every single shot, every single recording was done on iPhone. So insane.
It changes the entire industry. Because if you think how movies are shot, I mean, to go back here, the first time I saw, and I know Nadia spoke about this, the first time I saw Avatar, that fit in there. I sat in amazement in Avatar the first time. Oh yeah, no, that's 100% true, Miveshan. Go for it, Neil.
Got two things. Did you get to see the trailer I spoke to you about last week?
Which one is that?
The haptic trailer for F1?
No, I haven't seen. No, I did watch it. Sorry, Boyle, I did watch it. Yes, I did see it.
The haptic one. You got to specifically call out haptic and watch it on your phone. It will
I'm
change.
sure I did do that,
Okay.
Boyle.
Okay.
I'm damn sure I did that because I've seen the trailer. Let me just put it in my phone again. Just type in there, Boyle, so I can check it. I was damn sure I'd watched it. I'll watch it straight after.
And then the second thing was, Naveshan said, yeah, but the damn price is OMG, which talks to your second point on value, right? Value is reflected by how much customers are prepared to pay for it. So I have friends, as an example, that own 85 grand MacBook Pros. It's expensive to you and I, but the amount of work they do on the MacBook and the business they generate from that, the guys like it's a non-starter. Like the capital outlay on that versus what it allows him to do, chalk and cheese. And it talks
absolutely
exactly that
no,
value.
100%. I mean, value is in the eye of the beholder. You know, I think my students told me today that you get an iPhone Pro and then a Super and then you get a Pro Plus, and I mean, so many variations on the theme, and every time there's a couple of thousand different in that. Yeah, no, that is scary. Guys, in terms of what we call those would be the value proposition. And that's what your customers would look at and say, this is worth the sacrifice to make. I want this thing in my life. And truthfully, guys, people spend money. If you think on what people would have spent money on in the 80s versus what they spend money on now, it just shows you the revolution that's happened over the last 40 years. Because I mean, the stuff that if I look at the breakdown of my monthly accounts, how much I pay on connectivity is petrifyingly bad. But we have to have it. We can't. It's my life. I make my money from it. So in terms of innovation and competition, as I said, innovate or evaporate. The simple truth is that, go for it, Miveshan.
Sorry, Doc, on that mention of that 40 years of change on how people actually spend their money, it's even altering in terms of brands. I'm not sure if you've seen that recent article about VW, Toyota, and Mercedes-Benz that came out.
Yeah, complaining about the Chinese.
Ford was the big player over there as well, on how much of callbacks they had on their vehicles in the South African market alone was critical. It was absolutely critical. And when these Chinese vehicles came into the market, everybody was, oh, not trustworthy, it might break, cheap quality. And then you actually look at the brands that you're paying a million, 500,000 for, and you're looking at it and you're like, I'd rather go buy a Cherry for 500,000 Rand and enjoy the luxury of it with a 1 million warranty, as opposed to buying a Ford and then tomorrow it's breaking down on me, brand new from the box.
Yeah, unfortunately, with those kind of callbacks, if you want to quickly search, and I won't, no, I can do that. Hold on, I've got it here. And now I misspell. And just remember, guys, I've told you this before. This is the industry that I did my master's and PhD in. The numbers are insane, guys, because you'll have one builder for airbags. If that that manufacturer for airbags provides to all the vehicles. If there is a dodgy run, you will have anything from a Ford right to a BMW being recorded. Yeah, so Ford has dropped in recent years their recalls, but this new recall is a massive one. I mean, it's several million involved in it, but you can see the recalls, guys, because parts are shared. Parts are shared. Go for it, innovation.
Me again.
Okay. So in terms of innovation, I think it really is, there are two options. It's either watching the market and thinking I'm falling behind, or it is capitalizing on new opportunities, capitalizing on new technology, and it's that mix. Because what you want to maintain in any market is something called, and you guys would have done this last year, first mover advantage. First mover advantage is when you create a blue ocean industry. It's when you get to an industry first. I mean, first mover advantage, my favorite is, and we spoke about this, and my apologies, is the idea that some people still talk about hoovering. And Hoover as a term is in the Oxford Dictionary, and Hoover is in fact a brand, much like Google. So that first mover advantage is one where you pounce on the opportunity. In response to a threat, it's when your competitor has done something and you're now playing catch up. I mean, one of the scary things is that Toyota now has approached government and said we need to limit the number of Chinese vehicles and brands coming into South Africa because we are not sustainable anymore. And when Toyota does that, it is blimmin' scary, because Toyota is such a powerhouse as a brand in South Africa. Can I just ask, does anyone here drive a Chinese brand? Okay, Maveshan, which one do you drive?
I have a family member that bought one. It's the Cherry Tiggo 8 Pro.
Okay, very luxurious, very luxurious.
Amazing.
Very, very cool. Any other Chinese brands here? Who can't see themselves in a Chinese brand? My hand will go up here, obviously. I don't know if I can see myself in a Chinese brand. James, Neil, yeah, Michal as well. Yeah, but it is for now, Monley. It is for now. Nath, you as well. It is for now, yeah. I think the reality is that at some point, I think a lot of us will be driving Chinese brands, because what you get is insane. It's just, we brand loyal people. So in terms of innovation, and I love this term, it's this here. It is conscious. Yeah, Deirdre, that's the way to go. We've got two Suzukis in the house. We've got two Suzukis in the house. Both my boys at home have a Suzuki. Which Suzuki do you have, Deirdre? Please be cool and tell me that you've got the little 4x4 baby. Okay, Deirdre. Oris, amazing, 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 amazing. Yeah, no, I must admit, I quite like the Suzuki 4x4, and for some reason my brain is tired because I can't remember what it's called at the moment, which is just stupid. For me, my favorite, yeah, Mondley, nothing wrong with it. Buy a Fortuna, definitely guaranteed to be hijacked. And that's not the sorry, Sonley, sorry, Monley. That's not funny. I shouldn't make jokes like that. It's not on the advertising campaign, just to say. A Suzuki Jimny, my gosh, I'm stupid sometimes. Guys, I love that term, conscious experimentation. Innovation is not something that happens haphazardly. It is an idea that every day You question everything about your job in terms of the way you do it, what you do in terms of that job, what you manufacture, how you manufacture. You're kidding me. Yeah, no, they love them, hey. Yeah, it's disturbing, Monley, and it's an inappropriate joke. But the Fortuners put a target on your back. It's as simple as that. It really does put a target on your back. And being hijacked must be bloody scary, actually. It's not happened to me, but that must be very, very scary. Yeah, sorry, but any comments on the term conscious experimentation? Any comments on the word conscious experimentation? It's such a powerful combination of words, because people tend to think we have aha moments. Those aha moments happen because we are constantly questioning. Go for it, Nadia.
It reminds me of a book I read a few years ago that was called The Lean Startup. And
Okay.
I think that was right before innovation became such an important thing, where the author spoke of how he worked in a bunch of startups, and he said the problem nowadays with business, but like I said, it's years ago. I feel like everybody understands it now, is you do have to adopt a very agile way of looking at the external business environment. Because he said he spoke of his experience in where they would design like software and games, and he said instead of releasing a product and trying to find the market, it was more like look at what the market wants, release the product, but be able to continuously adapt and refine the software and the product for the markets. And I think
Absolutely.
that's, yes, what conscious experimentation is.
That's exactly it. And I also think sometimes companies that are at the real cusp of innovation create products that customers didn't even imagine they needed. But when they saw it the first time, it became a significant need. It became an absolute must-have. And I think that's what this is about. I think we are at a point where we are getting introduced to products that if we had to fill in a questionnaire and we suggested our needs, we would never have been able to guess those products. And when we see that product, it becomes a must-have. And it's where innovation is taking us. And it's those. Oh, curiosity is absolutely everything. I mean, staying curious, questioning, and testing is so important, Kesh. I mean, absolutely essential. I think, and it's almost looking at the world like a child, where everything is exciting, where everything is an opportunity, where everything can be turned into something that you can use in your imagination. In terms of innovation and entrepreneurship, I mean, obviously, when we think of entrepreneurs and innovation, we go back to the 1980s when we had all those startups, and obviously Steve Jobs has to be at the top of that list or amongst the contenders on that list. Him and Steve Wozniak building the first Apple standalone computer in Steve Jobs's garage. And if you've ever seen a picture of it, you will know what BASIC is and how they changed the world. And I also think we must remember that Steve Jobs also gave us Pixar, and Pixar gave us Toy Story. I mean, Steve Jobs has had an indelible impression on the world. If we take Steve Jobs out of the history of the world, our world would look very different. And certainly we can add others in there. But for me, Steve Jobs defines the relationship between entrepreneur and innovation. And the innovations that him and his company have brought us have been very impressive. Other people that you would put into that category? Oh, that's cool, Neil. Very cool. Other people you would put into that category? Henry Ford, obviously. Mark Zuckerberg absolutely goes into that, Irfan. I mean, brought us social media and changed the world in terms of how we connect. Oh, George Lucas, my gosh, the first Star Wars, Walt Disney, absolutely. Sergey Brin and Larry Page. Who knows who Sergey Brin and Larry Page are? Yeah, have to mention Elon before he lost his marbles. Sergey Brin and Larry Page, anyone know who they are? The Alphabet guys, absolutely. Well, Nadia, can I just say that if you want to see the future, watch movies. Yeah, and I know who Mary Shelley is. If you want to know the future, watch movies. It's so much is predicted in movies, and those come from staying curious, that conscious experimentation, and so many products come from there. Chris Barnard absolutely fits into that as well. I mean, 100% spot on. And whoever in South Africa created the first creepy crawly, remember, creepy crawly is from South Africa. It was a wonderful innovation. Prior to that, I had to clean pools because I was the oldest in the house, and we had I don't want to talk about that. I talk about that with my therapist that I don't really have. Okay, so when we think of it, they bring about change. Oh, putty, amazing. I love putty. Yeah, the idea of Pratley's putty. So, guys, in terms of bringing about change, I think the change that Steve Jobs brought the world is immeasurable, guys. I mean, we use it every day. And the fact that he brought us the first Toy Story is just a wonderful example of how many areas his influence extended to. And then when we think of entrepreneurs in existing organizations, obviously we call them entrepreneurs. I mean, a company like Google gives their technical staff 20% of their life where they can then go and create their own magic. The only rule is that whatever product you create belongs to Google. But during that time, you can set up your own team, you can use their budgets, you can use their resources, you can use their money if you want, and 20%. And the scary thing is that out of that 20% of the time where engineers at Google and technical staff at Google create their own magic, 69% of all new products created by Google comes from there. And all of you remember the Pareto principle. I know you would remember that, the 20-80 rule. Look how close to the 20-80 rule that is. 20% of the time engineers spend on their own projects gives Google almost 70% of all their brand new products. And there are lots of brand new products. Anyone work in an organization where that could ever be feasible, where management hands over 20% of workers' time and say to the workers, create your own magic? Is it feasible in South Africa? Is it feasible in your own organization? Remember 3M started it? 3M, the guys who brought us the Post-it note and a whole bunch of other things. Go for it, Nadia.
So at the company I work for, what's so interesting that I heard from one of the senior BDAs is a lot of the senior managers expect the senior BDAs to really target and call America to try and get American executives to sit in for a demo on our system. But then he said what's making him angry is we're actually not able to sell our system to Americans. We actually can't cater for their requirements. But he said the reason why they're always asking the senior BDAs to call America specifically is because it's kind of their way to gather like raw data on what
Yeah.
Americans kind of want in our system, and then they have their in-house development team kind of just slowly building and building on the system.
Nadia, can I ask what the system is that you guys sell?
I work for an equity plan administrator.
Okay, and the system you're selling, is it an investment package type system?
It's a software system, so it can like automate the reporting and the valuation calculations, and it can also automatically draft up grant letters under contracts for the participants for the
Okay.
awards. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's quite interesting. My oldest kid, and I think you guys know that he works in AI, and not in the insemination one, the artificial intelligence one. He's taken a job in America next year. So it's the same company, but at the moment he's in charge of Africa and Asia, and they want him to take it to America. But to take it to America, the Americans want him there, which is quite a strange thing, because Africa and Asia, he ran from his apartment in Cape Town, and now they want him in America. And I wonder if there's something linked to that, Nadia.
I think it's a mix of Americans can be quite ethnocentric. Like I know with America, we avoid some industries completely because it's just a waste of time, because some certain sectors and industries in America will tell you outright, we only work with other American firms and providers. Um, and I know they don't even use the same counting standards, which was so interesting because with annual reporting, everybody else internationally uses what they call the IFRS 2 reporting standard, whereas in the States, they've got their completely own separate accounting standard, which is so interesting and so silly. Like, just get with the times, please.
Yeah. And where does GAAP fit into that?
Sorry, say again.
The GAAP standard, general accounting and whatever practices. GAAP, isn't there something called GAAP?
Yes, yeah, it's called GOP. So it's just a way that they report on their own publicly listed companies' finances. And that also
Yeah.
means they kind of report and kind of write up the values of the share plans in their own standardized manner as well. I know for them
Okay.
it's like a lot more rigid set of rules, whereas IFRS 2 is a bit more like based on values and principles, not necessarily very rigid rules, which is quite interesting.
That's interesting. So not policy-based, principle-based, which is, yeah, an interesting approach. Very cool, Nadia. Very, very cool. Okay. Guys, and then, yeah, so 80-20 rule. And I also think it's about driving innovation, creating value. And we can see it in Google. I'm always astonished when I look at Google and you go and you look at Google and you go to those little dots there and you go what the products are, and then you get more and even more. I don't think we use 100th of the Google products. I love Gemini. I can also just say I absolutely love the algorithm in Gemini. But look at this, guys. It is insane, the freebies that are available from them, and more and more and more and more. And it's because of that 2080 rule, or 20-70% in their instance rule. And you can just see across the top here. I know that my oldest kid has completely divorced himself from, because he's on Apple, from Microsoft, and only uses Apple and Google products. And then, guys, just remember, it's all about the life cycle of the product, of the organizations. We've seen organizations that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. And the only way you are around for hundreds of years is when you constantly reinvent yourself through innovation. So in terms of the kinds of innovations that happen at the different stages, so obviously at startup, often a new technology being exploited, growth, adding products and services, getting your brand out there, and then the kind of sustainable, and then when things go down, it is the renewing phase. And that's exactly what the BAT is. And again, guys, the guilt that I have for using that bloody case study and the cognitive dissonance is kicking my butt. But that's what the vape industry has brought them, the opportunity to renew, guys. And then something that we need to talk about, and we will spend a bit of time on that, is because we tend to think of entrepreneurship and innovation as profits and profitability. One thing there is a desperate shortage of in South Africa are social entrepreneurs, people who look at changing the world, look at bettering the circumstances of people that they encounter. And social entrepreneurship is very important. I mean, it's people who work in that space where government and big business don't work. And whether it's bottom of the pyramid, etc., I think we have to remember part of what we do is about creating social value. It's not always about the profits and profitability. Taking us to the triple bottom line, and I know you guys are doing this and will soon encounter the so-called quadruple bottom line with your SUSR. Because that's what it is. It's triple bottom line stuff that we're talking about. People, planet, profit. And you guys will be introduced to the fourth P as well, which is purpose. And that has to do with ethics and ethicality and governance. Guys, I'm going to stop there tonight. Any questions, any comments? If there's nothing else,